Hello, everybody. Hi. Thank you for joining me this evening on My Two Cents. I'm so glad you're here today. Today we are talking about a few of the shows. We got some catching up to do. Unfortunately, last week we had some technical difficulties, so we're going to try to catch up on some of the shows. If you watch some of the shows, we appreciate it. Um, we have a few shows that was on Autumn is Here. As you know, Autumn is Here is my podcast where I interview people and I get information for people who are dealing with seniors, caregivers, and support for that. So therefore, there's a lot of different agencies and different people who are working in the community and healthcare people that are working with aging people. So that's why I have the Autumn is Here podcast, but also My Two Cents is just to talk about some points and some things, and don't want you to miss anything. So I'm just grateful for y'all to be on tonight. Hi, Raven. Thanks for showing up tonight. I appreciate it. Hopefully, you get some good information. Just remember, this information is not only just for you; it's for everybody. It's for anyone who you may think that needs it, or your neighbor, or your community. You know, you may be somebody who's working in the community. You may be young, but you may be working in a hospital or something, or in a community center that may be able to use the information. So if you haven't seen the shows, we're going to talk about Dementia Friends show. We're going to talk about um, caring, a circle of care. Show you how to circle of care with Medj Adams, Dementia Friends with Donna Giovanni, and we're going to also touch on familiar touch, which is a film that we interviewed the director and the actor. So we want to talk about all those things encompass helping older people, especially with dementia. So that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of like tying them all together tonight. So if you haven't seen the other show, thank you for just tuning in tonight. Please, you can just tune in and chime in. Hi, Lizette. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in tonight. If you have any questions on the show or anything like that, if I can't answer it, I can get back to you on that, but we can just discuss it, or points that you might want to raise about the show. So we're going to talk about what two of the shows, which is the show on Dementia Friends and the show on the Circle of Care with Medj and Donna, two separate shows, but they both come from the same agency. This agency is called PSS. And I don't know if many people know about this agency in New York. They service the New York area, mainly the Bronx, which is the highest rate of Alzheimer's and fastest growing, and Staten Island and Brooklyn. And they also do have some areas in Queens that they have their programs at. So they do service New York, but they are for seniors, and not only for dementia, but just seniors that are maybe retiring. They have so many different programs. So they started out many years ago as volunteers, and it developed from this Presbyterian Senior Services is what PSS stands for, because I know someone's going to ask me, but they use PSS. And they have so many different services. If you are caring for someone, or if you are just aging, one of the services that they have is like if you retire, they have a service that gets you, what are you going to do? Helps you to figure out what you're going to do in your next step, things like that, which is really good. We kind of forget about that. We retire and excited to retire, but what are we going to do? If you're 65 and you live to 80, that's 15 more years of your life. Some people don't plan. So, hi, Sonia. Thank you for tuning in this evening. Um, so that's one of the things that they have, different programs like that. They have so many programs just to help elderly, and also for caregivers. Also, they have programs that Circle of Care, which is a program that helps people, especially with people who are dealing with people with dementia. And it's really tough to deal with someone with dementia, but it's also tough just to be a caregiver. So they help you through it, trying to give you different ways to be able to care for someone who has dementia, and also to help the person with dementia, to make sure you understand also what they're going through. So they have programs that will help you to plan for them, to plan life changes for them, plan the next steps for them, understand what you're going through. So they assist you in that way. with social services like that, give you different services that will help also. So remember PSS if anybody needs that help. Hi, Lorraine. Hi. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us tonight. Um, we have certain services that we have PSS has certain services. Their website is pssusa.org. So pssusa.org is their website if you want to check out any of their services. Hi, Rose. How are you? Thank you for coming on tonight. Tonight we are talking about a few of the shows that we've done on Autumn is Here, and we are going to be talking about 3 together because 2 of them come from the same company, but they're doing different things. So we want people to know about these different organizations because people don't know where to get help from. But this organization helps seniors in so many ways. They also have like PSS Life University. Now this is great because this Life University helps people to go online and do webinars and give them either information or education on different subjects like wellness or different things to help teach them different ways to get comfortable with aging, get comfortable with the new things that are happening. Look for help, learn different skills. So their PSS Life University is great. So if you go online to pssusa.org, then you can find like different things like that. Life University is really good for them. And if you retire, you might want to find out something, find something else that you want to do. And this is a good place to start. They have a lot of support for you. Hello, Franklin. How are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. And they have courses in painting and different things like that, nutrition, things like that. So, it's wonderful to hear about these places that have different support for people after they've retired, after they age, not just for dementia, but after they age. So I would encourage you to get this information to your groups that you are part of. If you're retired and you have a group, or you're in a building with seniors, or you go to church or something like that, maybe one of the organizations, give this information to them, because somebody, even if you don't need it, someone else may need it. So their programs, they also have one of the programs that we did talk about was dementia care. And dementia care, Donna is in charge of that program. It started in the UK, and it branched out to the US. And now Dementia Care in New York, Donna she is from PSS, but she also runs that in New York, and she teaches people about dementia so they can go out into their community and teach about it, give people awareness and support, and give them some information and education. So she educates them on the basics things of dementia, things to look out for, different kind of behaviors. How do you react to different things? What does this mean? There's different things that they give them to give the person tools to be a dementia friend. You can become a dementia friend. Now, anyone can become a dementia friend. You don't have to be a social worker. You don't have to be a healthcare person. You don't have to be in the field. You can maybe just retire and are interested in doing something else and want to be a dementia friends, which gives information to other people. And this course will train you on how to become a dementia friend. And they have different skills and different exercises that they do that will help people to understand and to relate and to think about different things that we don't normally think about. They'll have exercises where they'll say, give me a couple of people in the room, just write down, if you're going to go brush your teeth, what do you do? And when they write it down, they'll say things, and you'll find out that you've left out some steps, because if you're don't have dementia, it's fine. You know how you get up and you go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth and whatever. But somebody with dementia may not understand that, okay, now they have to go to the bathroom to brush their teeth, or they have to cut on the water, or they have to cut on a light, or they have to, squeeze the toothpaste out of the toothbrush. I've seen people with dementia stand there with tools in their hand, just staring, not knowing. So can you imagine somebody with a toothbrush knowing that they're supposed to be brushing their teeth, but the toothbrush and the toothpaste are in their hand and they're frozen. They don't know what to do because they don't remember that what to do with the toothpaste. You know what I mean? So there are so many things that we kind of take for granted that dementia friends can educate people on, and you can be a representative. So anywhere, and you don't have to be a representative in a place that is um, like a formal place or a big company or anything like that. You can be a representative um, in your family. You can be a representative in your family. You know, some people, dementia and Alzheimer's has touched their family so much that they might want to let their family know, you know, because at the time, no one understood it. So you can be a dementia friend with your family. You could be a dementia friend on your block, you know, in your building. So this through PSS, this is something that's really good that Donna has been like the champion for, you know, to make sure that people understand about dementia. And they have different goals that they're trying to get so many people to sign up for this so they can spread the word. You know, we really need to spread the word about dementia because it is growing. 6.7 million people in the United States have Alzheimer's, and it's growing. Unfortunately, it's better if you find out early, but so many people do not find out early because they do not get tested. And it's important to get tested. There are, if your doctor doesn't suggest it, if you are of age, you know, you may not be having any problems, but if you are of age, you have a right to go to your doctor and say, you know, I'm feeling like I'm forgetting stuff, you know. And so sometimes forgetting stuff is normal as you age, but sometimes it may not be. So just get a regular basic test. There are a few tests, you know, that's out there, but it's a regular basic test from your doctor. The MMSE test, which is for memory and cognitive function. That's a test that you can take, and all the doctors will know, is mini mental state exam. And you take that. Normally it's free, so you take that, and it'll give you an assessment. And it's nothing intrusive. It's 5 to 10 minutes asking questions, tension and concentration, language, different tests that they would give you. It's not it's not that hard. It's things that we don't think about, but when it's you can think, if you don't have dementia, it may be easier for you. But if you have dementia, the doctor will realize when you forget and stuff, or you get things confused. They may have a clock test, where a visual test, where they tell you to put the hands in the proper place, put 3 o'clock on the clock. You know, sometimes that's confusion. We don't realize the little things that come up, and that is confusing to us. So it's very important to get a test, just if you're of age and you just feel like, okay, maybe you just don't want to be slipping. You know what I'm saying? Hi, Deborah. Thank you for being here. Our bed. Okay. I know that's Deborah. Thank you for being here this evening. So just really different tests, and the scoring on the test is 30. You know, that's the highest score. But if you're 24, if you're less than 24, then it indicates that there may be some issues. Okay. So that's where they will go further with different things to see if you have any issues or anything like that. Now, there's a lot of different things that may uh, make you forget and stuff like that. You may be having a bad day. You may have had taken too much medicine and over medicated yourself and things like that. So that you may have a bad day, and you may feel like you're getting confused and stuff like that. When you go to the doctor, you pass the memory test with flying colors. It may just be a bad day that you have, or something else is kicking in, that really mimics dementia, but it's not dementia. So don't panic. Go to the doctor. Hi, Keisha. Oh, it's okay that you're late. I thank you for being here. But that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important for these agencies like PSS, for people to know about these agencies like PSS, because um, if it is that they do detect something, early detection is key. These places like PSS can help and guide you to the place, to where you might need to be, and get help and get support, to talk to you and explain more about the disease. Because sometimes doctors may explain in general, but sometimes you need something extra. You know, and if you have questions, sometimes you leave the doctor's office, you forget to ask the questions. If you call PSS and you speak to them, they'll have a consultant talk to you and ask, and you can ask the questions that you need to ask. You know, some people are afraid. and they understand that. They understand that, and they know how to talk to you about that and different things like that. They in PSS they also have respite care. So for caregivers, they have respite care, give you a break. We talked about adult daycare before and different things like that. So they do offer stuff like that and information on that. So that's why it's so important for people to know about these agencies. Now there are some other tests that kind of more involved, that you can find out more if you have dementia, but the tests are like more invasive, like a spinal test and stuff like that. That's more invasive. You might not want to do that. You might not feel comfortable doing it, or if it's really showing up that you really feel that it's strongly, you might do it. But then sometimes medical coverage doesn't cover these tests. So the best test that they have out there may not be something that you may have access to or may even afford. I'm not sure, if Medicaid or Medicare will pay for it and stuff like that. So, but right now you can really just try to get just the MMSE test. Ask your doctor. It'll be better to know, or if it may be nothing, and it'll give you ease your mind. But now, I know they cut some funding for research for Alzheimer's and things like that, and we have to talk about that. We have to talk up about that. We can't let them cut the services on that. But they are having some breakthroughs, and one of the breakthroughs they have is the first blood test to aid in the diagnosis of Alzheimer's. Now, we know we don't have a cure for Alzheimer's, but they're doing so many different things. They're doing things for getting better medicines, for early detection, and getting better medicines that you can use that will prolong the memory loss. But this first blood test is finally approved by the FDA, and it's helped to aid in the diagnosis of Alzheimer's. And I just want you to wrap your head around that, how important that is. It's a blood test. That means that it's not as invasive as a spinal test or stuff like that. If you go to a regular doctor, you go to a blood test, you go get a blood test from your doctor. It's not they're not finished and fully accessible and stuff like that yet, but just to think that the strides that they're making when they're doing the research, that they develop a blood test, this will make it easier to diagnose it earlier. Because you, just like now, we take blood tests for cholesterol, we take blood tests to find out different things that are happening in our bodies, just as a routine. We don't wait till we're 65 to take a blood test on cholesterol and stuff like that. What if they can take a blood test on you at 40, and find out, or if you or at 50, because we find out that people who have Alzheimer's have it for 15, 20 years before the real strong signs are showing. So can you imagine if you've taken a blood test that said, okay, wait, we detect something, and they're able to give you some drugs that will prolong it if they do see something. So if you take a test at 45 or 50 and they realize that, wait, there is something happening. Now, you may not be displaying any signs yet, but they'll know that it's there, and they'll be able to give you some medication that may prolong it. So this is a great breakthrough for them to be able to have a blood test that they're working on that can identify Alzheimer's disease. This is really a great breakthrough. Now, how it trickles down to many of the people, how it trickles down to as far as medical insurance and cost and stuff like that, it's we don't know that yet. We don't know any of that yet. But I think it's just hopeful to know that they have that drug. I'm not that drug, but they have a blood test that they're working on, to hopefully they get everything approved and everything worked out. And it's just so much easier. And maybe more people will take it. Maybe more people will get tested ahead of time. People don't know to ask for the mini mental state exam for cognitive testing. They don't know that. But if you go to a doctor and they make it that it's something that is standard for you to take, say after, like you have to take a colonoscopy at 45 or 50, maybe make it standard like that so they can take it at a certain age. And if you can take it at a certain age, then it'd be great. This way you'll be able to know ahead of time without even, having to remember to ask for it, which is great. Hi, Deb. Deb says, yours is really small. One of the activities for my annual checkup is to draw the draw the hands of a clock. Oh, really? I guess as time goes on, they will omit that test because no one uses an analog clock. A blood test will be more accurate. Yes, yes. I'm glad to hear that they do that. I'm glad to hear that they do that. Maybe I don't know if anybody else, does anybody else doctors test them in their memory or something like that? That's great. That's great because a lot of people like it's like 5% of people of like 60, 65 get these tests. They don't know to ask for them, and doctors don't, they don't recommend them for some reason, unless you say, okay, there's, having a problem with memory, so that's great to know that there's somebody out there that's actually doing something like that. It's really good. But if you don't have a doctor that's doing that, ask. And if you have a parent that you're caring for, take them to the doctor and just make sure, because you want to see where they're at. You want to see where they're at. You want to see how to care, how to care for them better and where they're at. And then that might explain some of the things, some of the behaviors, some of the reactions that they have. That might explain some of the things. So that's really good. So if you haven't seen the shows that we're talking about on Autumn is Here, the show is we're talking about a show on Circle of Care, which is from PSS organization, and we're talking about a show on Dementia Friends, and they're both from PSS organization. So we want you to check those shows out on Autumn is Here podcast. And if you haven't, and you can listen to it, you don't have to look at it. You can always listen to it on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts. Please comment, like, subscribe, but also those shows are really good for information, but there are so many other people doing different things. And I want people to know that there are people that are working on helping the community, helping people. There's also a show on that I did called Familiar Touch. And this show is a movie that someone has done. Miss Sarah Friedman has directed and wrote it. And Kathleen Chalfant, sorry, has acted in it. And it's a beautiful show telling about someone who has dementia, but it's to the point where they can't live by themselves anymore. So their son takes them to a facility, assisted living facility, but he doesn't tell her. So she thinks she's going to a hotel, and she goes to assisted living facility, and how she has to adapt. And this film is so good because it tells you from the point of view from the person that's going through it. It tells you how they react to things. Getting used to a whole nother environment is a lot. It's a lot. Even if you move someplace, differently, even with your relatives, it's still a lot. When you change atmospheres, when you change environment, it's a lot. It's also about where you're at, and especially if you have dementia, an acceptance of it. If you understand what's going on, some people don't understand. They're at that point where they don't understand what's going on, but some people do. So if you have somebody in your life that has dementia or showing signs of dementia or its early stages, talk about it with them. Talk about it with them. It's better that they understand what they're going through, and this way you can have conversations as it progresses, because of course it progresses, unfortunately. So you can have conversations about that. How do we see the film? Okay, right now the film is going around different areas in the States. It was here at Film Forum in New York. It is going to I think about 30 different states now. It was in LA just recently, so it's going around different states. It is not, far as I know, on streaming yet. But if I hear when it's streaming, I will let y'all know. But I don't know if anybody's here in California. It's showing in California now, but it's going around to different places, and it's just a lovely film. from the perspective of a person that's going through it. So I love that. And the um, the director is pretty young, and she worked in a care facility, and that's how she got interested in this subject. She worked in a care facility at some point, and her grandmother had dementia, and she remembered how they kind of treated her um like she was different, like she wasn't there in a sense, and she got interested in that, because when she talked to her grandmother, she felt like her grandmother was there, but people and other people in her family accepted that she had dementia. She was difficult at home with too many people coming in all the time. That's hard too when you have somebody who's has outside people, home attendants, stuff like that, and they have different people coming in. They change the home attendant. One quits and you get another one. The person with dementia gets confused and frustrated and aggravated, and that's what was happening to Sarah's grandma. It was too many people coming in, and she just didn't. She just didn't like it. These different people that she didn't know around her. So they end up putting her in an assisted living place, and that's where she got to experience that. And she ended up working at a facility and learning about it. So that inspired her to do a film like this. It was 10 years in the making. So she was inspired. I'm glad that she did it, and it gives you just a different perspective. We need all these tools to get the word out about Alzheimer's and dementia. We really do. Um, we need people to be aware of the disease. We need people to be keep it at the forefront, so you understand that not only it can happen, but other people are going through it. But you can keep up on the good things that are happening, the things like the blood test that I told you about, different things like that, and it can give you some hope. It's scary if you have signs of dementia. It's scary, to keep up about the services and the support and these organizations that are helping. So it's really good. The test that you need to ask for. Keisha says, "Oh, that's like grandma. She's so fed up with the new people." Yes, yes. She gets fed up with the new people that come in and out. Think about it. Some days you don't want to be bothered without dementia. Some days you don't want to be bothered. Some days you don't want company. Some day, to think that you can be in a position where you have somebody with you all the time, 24 hours, that you don't know, and then the next day is somebody different, or the next week you get used to somebody and then they leave and they go. It's frustrating. Like and sometimes when you get older, you want your space. But if you can't take care of yourself, you need that. So that adds to the frustration, that adds to the dementia. And it's really hard. It's really hard. And it's hard for the people who are trying to facilitate that. It's hard for the people who are the primary caregivers that are taking care of you to deal with that too, because they have to deal with the agencies, and they have to deal with you being frustrated and giving them a hard time, and blaming them. And it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So this picture, some people can't afford to go to assisted living. They are pricey. So that's another thing. We have to plan. That might be our destiny, to have to go to an outside place. Maybe our family can't take care of us. Maybe they don't have the means. Maybe nobody's available. There's things that we have to do, and we have to save. We have to plan for things that are accessible, and we have to watch the news and stuff like that for things that are going to help in getting funding for not only research, not only medicines, but for care for the people who are in this situation where they may have places where they subsidize. So if they're passing a bill that they're going to subsidize assisted living, because it's very expensive, if they would do that, that helps. So it's not only about getting the medicine, it's not only about getting the new things that are coming out for drugs, but it's also about the care. If they have a bill that supports the social services that will help people in this situation, we have to be in tune to that. Listen for that. What do we have to do to get these things going, to get these things passed? So these are it's so many things, and Alzheimer's is just a big thing that can affect anybody and everybody, and it's affecting more people, and people are living longer. So if you're living to 85, you may have to deal with the effects of Alzheimer's disease and things like that. So if you haven't watched the show and Autumn is here, please watch the show, and just check it out and share it with other people. Share links. You can also go to autumnishere.com, and that's my website. Please do that and look at that. You can listen to the show and, uh, come back and give us some questions on it if you want to, or in the comment box on YouTube or on Spotify or wherever you listen to it. Just give a comment and we'll try to get back to you. But thank you for tonight, for everybody coming in. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you tuning into My Two Cents. It's about just getting some more points on different things and getting some more information about the subject that we talked about on Autumn is Here podcast, and just answering anything that you may have, or ask a question or a comment. You might comment on it or give us some information. Like Deborah said, her doctor does give her the test, of the clock test. So that's really good to know. So give us some encouraging good information is good too. But also share this information with people in your surrounding, in your environment, wherever you may you have, where you may share this information. Remember PSSUSA.org. Remember that. If you need any help, go there. We're so glad to have Medj Adams and Donna, who runs the Dementia Friends program. Don't forget that program. If you're interested, it's Dementia Friends. Is PSS. You can go look online, and Dementia Friends. And that's if you want to be a representative, if you want to share, if you want to help in your church, you can just do it in your church. You don't have to keep going out to different places. You can just do it in your church. So thank you so much for just being here and participate. Don't be afraid to participate. Okay. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Good night. Good night, Deborah. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. And don't forget, we'll be on next Thursday. Okay. Take care.